Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Busy week here on the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Lots to talk about from the Angels, the Dodgers, around baseball. There's a ton of stuff going on. Plus, don't know if you caught it. We did throw it out on our social media, and we'll remind you of those in a second. But earlier today, we were on the Top Fan Rivalry Podcast. Spent a little time with them and and the baseball community because it's all about fans over there, and we're all about fans as well. So, being fans ourselves. So, if you get a chance to check that out, if you didn't this morning, by all means. We'll put the link up also, or go back and find our tweet, but we'll retweet it again to find us there, and Instagram it and Facebook. I don't know. You're the social media guru over there.
It'll be everywhere. It will be an omnipresent post. Yes, definitely. An announcement.
Omnipostment? I don't know. All right. But lots to talk about, including something that in and of itself happens all the time, but in this whole idea of change, in this season of baseball change, it kind of, I think, has a little different light. So we'll get to that. We'll talk about how the Dodgers fared during their week. The Angels will hop in the bullpen cart when we get to that point. Before we do that, though, where are we on Facebook and Instagram?
At Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And then Twitter is at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A. And of course, find us on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com, where at some point in time, we'll put up we'll update the site. So season 4, and we'll put up our new walk-up songs. I know I picked mine. Did you ever pick yours?
I'm still on the fence, and I'm wondering, do I really need to? Because how much do you hear of it with the pitch clock?
Well, to walk up at least, I don't know, 8 seconds maybe.
Okay. Well, all right. I'll make a definite decision, and it will be posted on the website.
Over the previous episodes, we have talked about the changes around, like at the first one, we talked about the rules and what was coming up. And we talked about some notable names that went to a different team or some different changes or whatever, just to get started on the season. And the last couple of weeks, we've talked about the rules and some of the things that we've seen with them, what kind of differences they're making, what people are saying. I don't know about you, but I don't really notice the pitch clock too much now, because it just seems like we're moving in. There's a lot less fussing around, which they could have already put that in without pitch clock. But whatever, it could be that one could be worse. So far, it's just kind of it's making the game move along probably more like it used to or should be. It's just unfortunate they had to go to that.
Yeah, that they actually had to use a clock. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it just is kind of in the background now. You just don't really notice
but
it.
I still feel that same thing. And I'll tell you, it even popped in my head a little more after a game over the weekend. And we'll talk about that coming up in one of the segments. But a couple of different things, and I think I'm even sent you one of these, where it's just like, oh, baseball is such a beautiful game, which I've been harping on. Let's hurry up and get it over with. Let's go so we can come back.
Yeah.
And the speed of the game is fine. I think that there's times when it could be a little slower because it's better. I think something gets missed along the way. It's good that the players are on their toes and engaged in the game, but I don't see that that's making a big difference overall. I don't even notice about the shift.
Yeah, I haven't either. I think the other night I was watching a game and somebody hit, it was like a base hit, and the announcer said, last year that wouldn't have been a hit. And I thought, oh yeah, the shift. Totally forgot about that. So I'm good with that.
So not even thinking about it, to me, it's just like, hey, I remember baseball was that way all the time.
Right. Yeah. It was like,
So I'm having a flashback to my childhood in some ways. They didn't need to have a clock.
no, you just played the game. You didn't have to be regulated by a clock. That MLB may, now they haven't officially commented on this and I haven't heard anything more, but they could be looking for sponsorship of that clock. It could be like the Rolex clock or the Timex clock or.
Is Casio still around? They used to be the,
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, so it could be one of those. Always about money.
Longines.
It could be the Swatch watch.
The Swatch watch timer making a
Yeah.
comeback.
Yeah.
What is that though? What, like some of the big names? What is it? I want to say it, but the only thing comes to mind when I say it is Breitbart instead of like Bright.
Oh yeah, I know
Ling,
exactly
or
what
I
you're
don't know what it
talking.
is.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I
And-
have a watch.
Longines.
Yeah, I have somebody. Planet Head is a watch connoisseur. It has lots of watches.
At one time in my life, I had a bunch of them too, because I was always going to Japan and the exchange rate was incredible. So you could get watches that cost like $100, $200 over here were like $15.
Yeah,
Some really great watches.
yeah.
Anyway,
All right,
as usual, I digress.
back on topic.
So got to thinking after something that happened this last weekend, and because it happened to the Dodgers, it stood out more to us, but it stood out to everybody, not just Dodger fans, everybody,
Yeah, it
about
was
how bad
obvious.
some calls were. Right there in the ninth inning. Don't know that it would have made a difference in the game, but these calls were so bad that Dodger haters, Padres fans were even calling it out.
Yeah, that is saying something.
I didn't really get to see him, but I know that you saw more of it than I did.
I saw all of them.
Oh, explain the scenario. Throw it out here. Hook
the
us
bottom
up.
of the
Drop
ninth.
some knowledge on us.
It's the bottom of the ninth. Dodgers were playing the Cubs. And yeah, I think either the umpire was very much like, we need to get out of here. I don't know where they were going. Had dinner reservation, got an earlier flight. But I mean, these calls he was calling strikes and all of them were balls, and it was very obvious. I mean, they were way off the plate, and it was all three batters. Jason Hayward, I think Freddie Freeman, Jason Hayward. I'm trying to think who the third batter was, but maybe, yeah, it was just bad. They, and even Dave Roberts, you just don't see him with the fire, but it was like he was going to get ejected at the end after the game because he wouldn't be quiet. Jason Hayward almost, he was close, which I think is always funny when they eject players, in the bottom of the ninth. Like, really? But yeah.
Yeah. So,
But I mean, it could have made a difference because in the game, it was a close game. It was 3-2. And so it's very possible, they could have hit got on base, but yeah, it was bad. I mean, you've seen bad calls, but 3 straight batters with really bad calls. It wasn't just one, it was all 3. It's like you had a vendetta
right.
against them.
Or like you said, hey, we got to hurry up. We got to get out of this place. It's crazy to think that he could be that bad throughout. Maybe he missed a little bit here or there. Close. I've seen him when they miss big on one, but not consistently. And obviously we don't know why, as much as we can make the jokes that they were trying to make an earlier flight or, whatever. Maybe they were filming one of those Southwest commercials. He made the bad things. Need to get out. Need to get away.
That's perfect.
He really did.
He really did. Yeah. I mean, you're right. You do see, a bad call here or there, but consistently across 3 batters that ended the game on those calls. I mean, there was 3 straight strikeouts on pitches that were not strikes.
So that was Hayward, Mookie, and
Mookie, yeah.
Freddie.
Yeah.
So it made it made a few people, and it made me think about it as well when I saw that. And you brought it up to me about how bad it was because I hadn't seen it. But when I saw those, it made me think. And then as I went through Twitter, I saw other people were thinking the same thing. Is it time for roboump?
I don't know. I mean, they used roboumps in the AAA last year. I don't know if they're doing it this year but we went to some Isotopes games and saw it, and it's pretty consistent. I mean, but obviously the umpire's just relaying the message. So, but there were no arguments, and for the most part, it's not 100% accurate, but it's pretty accurate as far as where the strike zone is and balls and strikes. So
obviously it would miss things like if the ball bounced in and then and came up through the. But do you think based on that, and there have been other calls? I mean, obviously there's always been bad calls, but it seems like over the last couple of years, and especially those, and I think there was another one that came up on another day, with other teams. And do you think it's time with all the changes to go to that? Is it that point?
Based on the performance on Sunday by the home plate umpire in the Cubs-Dodger game, yes, definitely.
Okay. But at what point, if I mean, and there's a lot of websites out there now where you can go through and they're ranking all those things and they're showing, and a lot of umps, they miss things, but overall they're in the high 90s with what they get right.
Yeah. The one
Should
thing
we wait for that to drop before we start really entertaining the robo-ump? Or
yeah, I'm not in favor of the robo-ump. I mean, going to, a few minor league, AAA games and seeing it in action, it didn't sway me like, oh yeah, we have to have the robo-ump, because I think there's still, the umpires are obviously part of the game. And when you take the human element out of it, then you miss a big chunk of what baseball is. So if you've just got the umpire, then he just kind of becomes the shell, and he's got, an earbud in, and it's just relaying it. He doesn't, there's no, and not that there's a lot of arguing. I'm really for arguing. I really want to see more managers argue. That's what I want to see.
There's not enough of that.
There isn't. I want to see that. So I think it does. It takes out that human element, which, there's too much AI and all that, that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that that's what robo-ump is, but what's the next step after robo-ump when you think, well, that's not working? What are we going to do? Are we going to go back to just calling it old-fashioned way? Or are we going to have somebody is already developing something more?
Well, there's already something being developed more, and if it's going to save the league some money so that the owners have more money, then they're going to do it.
But I mean, I wonder,
AI development is happening.
Yeah. Well, I wonder too with the umpire, they have a union, so they're going to fight not to.
True, but
they're going to fight not to have that. But
at some point, they just will lock them out and move on.
That's true.
Or they'll find a way to limit it to where you're like at amateur points or even minor league points where you have two umpires.
Yeah.
And, what you do is you just set up the AI, to watch watch first base. And there's a red light, green light. If it's green, they were safe. If it's red, they were out. And
yeah, see, that's just way that. Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. That is just that's way. When I think of robo-ump, but you really think of a robot behind the plate. So like Rosie from the Jetsons.
Exactly what I was thinking of. You could vacuum up back there and call the game.
Yeah. Yeah, dust the plate off. I don't want to see it go that far, but it seems like that's what MLB is always. They have a specific league that they just put all the craziness into, and then that's where it comes from. So
Speaking of the crazy league, what is that? The Atlantic
Yes.
League.
Yep.
Well, there's some more craziness going on in the Atlantic League. They're trying out 3 more experimental rules. So let's take a look at these 3 experimental rules. There's things that have been brought up before, but didn't really seem feasible. It seemed kind of like, yeah, all right, that sounds like some kind of a, what was that movie Basketball with the South Park promoters, and they created a whole new game, kind of like what we did. We took baseball and then added a few things for like Survivor and stuff when we were trying to come up with things to do when in our first season there. These kind of feel like that a little bit. A couple of, one of them is like, one of them actually, let's start with the one that draws itself off of a current rule, but actually restricts it a little bit more. And that is the disengagement of the pitcher to throw over or to, call timeout, stuff like that. Once they're on the rubber and ready to go, they got to complete it. If they disengage, that counts against them. And this would take it from 2 times to 1. Which doesn't seem, at that point you're really limiting. You're almost just telling the runners, you just need to go. If you're not going, in fact, when are they going to just make that a rule? If you're on first base, you have to steal.
Yeah.
We gave you bigger bases. The pitcher can't throw over. I've noticed pitchers now aren't even looking over.
Yeah, it's just not even a concern.
So that'd be one thing. I think that takes, of all that's been taken out, I think that really just makes it, it's like, why have any disengagements other than, there's got to be, the wind's blowing dirt in my eye, something like that. But any other reason, no.
Yeah.
That one's just going to take away from there. Now, the other 2, let's go with the one that's the pinch runner. And you can use him over and over again in the same game. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a designated pinch runner, and each club will have a list, not have a list. They will list a player who is not in the starting lineup, and that person will be the designated pinch runner. And that player may then be substituted at any point into the game as a base runner, and the player who is substituted for, as well as the pinch runner, may then return to the game without penalty. Which before, if you're the pinch runner, as now, if you're the pinch runner, that's it. That was your role in the game.
Now, from one side, that makes it easier on managers to not really have to, they want the faster runner. They don't have to worry about the implications of that change.
Yeah.
The person's going to go and run, and will it burn more than one player? Because it's like, well, the guy I want to run can't very well go in and cover for the guy that he was running for.
Right. Yeah.
So now you're doing double, triple, moves, or he comes out, you put somebody else in, and now you've burned another player. And then finally, one that I think has gotten the worst response, like, are you kidding me? That would be enough for me to just stop watching baseball. At some point, you might as well just admit you hate baseball, is a lot of the responses. And this one is the double hook. Now, I get, because I read, like, what was it, last season before about this double hook thing, was that it's about keeping the starter in longer. Right. I really don't think that's as big of an issue now as it was when they first started coming up with some of these. You've got the 3 batter rule, which has kept a lot of changes and helped bring time down, because you're not constantly changing pitchers. So that's had to have helped a little bit. But at this point, it is, I don't know, even how do you explain that one?
The double hook. I'm just going to read it. The double hook DH rule, which allows clubs to use the designated hitter throughout the game, provided that the club's starting pitcher has completed at least 5 innings. If the starter fails to make it through the 5th, then the team loses the DH for the remainder of the game. That to me seems like a board game kind of move, like if you land on this spot, you have to go back 3 spaces. And yeah, that one's horrible.
Yeah, there is. I don't even know. And who was thinking of that? Who thought that was a good idea? And why are they even trying it? It doesn't matter if, all the pitchers now, starting pitchers now, all pretty much, unless they get beat up in the first couple innings or they get injured, most of them are all going at least 5 innings.
Oh, yeah. I would say the majority of them at this point are, at least 5, but 6, 7 innings. I'm noticing they're trying to keep those starters in a little bit longer than what we're used to. And you talked about with the pitching too, those starters are going to go in because then you got to manage the bullpen and, who threw last night or, who can come in, and they have to be ready for 3 batters. Whereas before, we watched games where they brought in 3, 4 different relief pitchers for one guy, each batter had a different pitcher.
Right. Different pitcher or that. So you had the pitcher go 5 or 6 innings. So you had one pitcher go 5 innings. And then for the remaining 3 to 4, you had 7 or 8.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So yeah, this one, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where they come up with this stuff, but.
Well, at the time that they started talking about this one, like I said, it made sense because there was just so much, more with the changing out of the relievers. Now it just doesn't seem needed.
Yeah, no.
And even if it's something like that was needed, I don't think that's needed.
No. And, another interesting thing too. Well, I just read somebody had tweeted out about these rules and said Rob Manfred belongs in jail.
I agree.
Yeah,
he belongs in prison. But isn't that in like the Constitution or in some Bill of Rights or something like that?
I'm gonna have to look at that.
He's a traitor under the Sedition Act of 1779 or whatever. He is guilty.
Yeah. I just, all of these rules, baseball's simple. You play with the bat and a ball, and you need, you don't even need a glove. I mean, if you're playing the Sandlot, but it's better if you have one.
Right.
That's all you need. And you don't even need bases. It's like, okay, that's, that tree is second base, and we're going to use this trash can lid as third, whatever it may be. It's simple, but we have all the hands in the cookie jar making all these changes, and it just, and they use the Atlantic League, as an experimental league, as like, oh, we're going to see how it works, but I don't think they really even care what it's not like they're taking data, they have books and books of data about how did this work? Is this working okay? I don't know.
Well, it seems as though, because last year, remember, they moved the mound.
Yeah, that's true.
And what have we heard from that?
Yeah, they moved it back. Yeah,
they're not using that. Not to say that they're not using that, and maybe at some point say, well, maybe.
Yeah, it might come up again. I mean, I guess there is some, but if you go back to the designated pinch hitter, you could have guys that's all they do. I'm thinking.
Well, you kind of have that with the DH now that there's
true.
Guys, because remember Edgar Martinez, who is kind of, the preeminent designated hitter.
Yeah.
He's the guy, the first real designated. He didn't start out that way. He was a third baseman for the Mariners.
Yeah.
I mean, he eventually became that because he was a great hitter, but the Dodgers have a guy who's been that for a while now, in JD Martinez.
Right. Exactly. I was just going to say, that's his role, and, knowing when he signed with the Dodgers, that was going to be his role. So, yeah, I mean, it would
Nelson
be funny
Cruz
though.
is another one now,
right?
as they got into their career. But so now that's like another position that we have to think about in terms of that. But
yeah, well, I think it would be, if then you have the scouts, or the teams going to, track and field events, and they sign, somebody just because they can run really fast, on the 100-yard dash.
The NFL did that. There's a lot of track and field guys that ended up in the NFL to be wide receivers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, these rules, they're just more rules that we don't need. Just, do simple better. And they are not. They are not doing that.
Baseball wants to regulate as much as they can, over-regulate at this point.
Another thing too with the designated DH, if you have a pitcher that, sometimes they are just having a bad day and they're not pitching well, but you got to leave them in because, you're going to lose your DH. And, we've seen teams run up the score, and where, it's more of a football score than a baseball score. So you're kind of stuck. So then you have to make that decision.
I think we have a good example of that coming up in one of our segments here today. In fact, the first segment after this one, we'll probably have something where something happened and they just ran up. And it wasn't because they couldn't take him out. But I think that's what.
But it could be a situation. Yeah.
Right. The 3-batter rule stops constant changing of pitchers. Conceivably every game you could throw 9 pitchers.
Yeah. 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 And you used to see that. I mean, you would see, okay, this guy's coming up. This is the matchup. I need this guy. And he would face 1 batter. Okay. So then get the next guy up. They face 1 batter. So, yeah.
I'm sure sometimes if they could have changed them midway through.
Yeah.
They would have done that as well.
Yeah. They have a 3-1 count. I got to change the pitcher here.
So, yeah, I'm with you on this, that the ideas that they're throwing out there, some of these things, it's like, all right, we'll just deal with it. If my choice is pitch clock versus and a 3-batter minimum versus this double hook crap, I'm sticking with where we're at. I think that it's too soon as well for them to try to do things, because those are major rule changes as well. And the umpires are still coming to grips with what they're dealing with now and finding the nuances of it. Because we could talk a little bit about what happened with Cody's return to Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
And how that works. So we'll talk about that and more when we get to the Dodger segment. But this is the thing. I think that, the more that they do that, the more that they get to the point that they might as well just say, let's just do robots. Why don't we just have well, and I'm sure there are some people that would just prefer to watch the video game, the MLB.
I was just thinking that, just, just put the 2 teams. Okay, we got a series against these 2 teams, put the lineups together, and that's what you watch. You watch the video game, not the real deal.
All right. Put a time limit on it and go. If that's how it's going to be, just start playing them all by Little League rules. 7 innings is the max. And the time limit is if you're at this time and you can't start a new inning after this amount of time from when the game started.
Or if your center fielder has to go home for dinner.
Right. Whatever it is, you're hitting his curfew. He's got to go home.
That's right.
Whatever it is, play by. But yeah, just play by those kind of rules. If that's all it's about. And then why not just do all the Little League rules? Everybody has to play.
Yes.
You know what? if you get played when you were playing for, if you had to get played when you were playing for free, you definitely need to be played while you're getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Recently, I heard the beating of the tribal drums, and people were grabbing their pitchforks and their torches, and they were heading to Dave Roberts' house.
I can think of somebody who could be leading that charge. Not
Yes.
me, but
No, but, and because of a lot of the different things that have been happening, and because the Dodgers are been in and around 500, and we'll take a look at all of the standings as of now within the first, 15, 16 games of the season that we hit by the weekend, by last weekend, and get an idea where people are setting. You'll see that they're not really in any bad spot compared to how the league is. However, there have been some questionable, unless of course you're a Dodger fan, and then cue Chicken Little. There's been some questionable calls, and people are calling for Dave Roberts' head. To me, you might as well be calling for Friedman's head, because a lot of that stuff comes from there. And I'm not saying he doesn't make decisions, and I'm not saying he hasn't made bad decisions on, that were his decisions, but he doesn't have as much of the experience and that gut feeling. He was a player, but I don't think he's really managed to the depths like some guys. And I know I sound a little jaded with that because I'm a Joe Madden fan, and I read his book recently and all that, but those are the guys I grew up with. And I think that there has to be a mix of analytics and gut managing.
think of this. The first game of the 1988 World Series, sending Kirk Gibson up, who's hobbling, that would have never happened today. I don't think it wouldn't happen. Tommy
He would have been
Lasorda,
out completely, hoping that he could come back at a later date.
exactly.
So we didn't want to use him there. And with all the numbers and everything like that, surely it would have been a bad matchup numbers wise. The analytics, the graduates, the doctors in the analytics department would have been losing their minds.
Yeah. I mean, that moment that, I think
one moment in time.
That's right. That Dodger, we've, as Dodger fans, we're just like, that is one of our moments. And I mean, I remember where I was, I can tell you where I was when that happened. That's not going to happen nowadays. They're not, because you don't have those managers. Again, you have the analytics that get in the way. And like you said, okay, that's not a good matchup. That what, with Gibson getting up. And you don't
injured against Eckersley, who is, even then felt like a Hall of Famer.
Right. And you don't have them making those gut decisions. And that was a gut decision.
Tommy made a lot of gut decisions.
Yeah, he did.
Some of them literally.
Yeah.
Another bowl of pasta, please.
That's right.
But that's the thing. He looked at it all. And then something that we found out by reading Joe's book, there was some faulty intel.
There was.
What happened? That was magic. How can you not be romantic about baseball?
Yeah. And that's the problem, is there's these things that happen. And like I said, I remember where I was, remember that moment. But before that game started, there was a scout said, oh, he's going to throw this, but Eckersley maybe threw it, 2-3% of the time, if that, right. But yeah, I mean, there's so many of those different stories, and we lose those stories when we put all of these rules and regulations and, just craziness into it.
Mm-hmm. So since we're talking about stories, let's talk about this first series because there's a lot of stories between these two teams. They came together to California so they would have rivals. I mean, the Dodgers talked the Giants into coming.
That's
but
right.
They both came here, and both teams, honestly, the move has been better overall for the Dodgers than it was for the Giants. But the Giants have added on to their championship list from New York to San Francisco. But we need to talk about a guy who seems like a brand new player to the Dodgers, but is a legend for the Dodgers at the same time when it comes to playing in San Francisco.
Yeah. Max Muncy. I mean, he says he hates Oracle Park. He says, I hate playing here. But man, can he play. He can hit when he is there. I mean, he hit a grand slam and a 3-run homer in that first game. I mean, this was the first visit to San Francisco, first meetup of these two teams. Always in for a treat when it's the Dodgers and the Giants, but it's all about Max Muncy. And for a guy that, hates San Francisco, and that first game was perfect San Francisco weather. It looked like it was raining, but it was just really foggy. Yeah. And it was magical as he hit that grand slam.
And nobody could go fish anything out of the ocean.
Not this time.
7 RBI game for him in that 9-1 win in the first game. Now, here's where we should start talking about weird moves, whether it was the front office or whether it was Doc. Game 2. And it's not about the fact that they lost. It's about the omission.
Yeah. Max Muncy is not in the lineup. That makes no sense. Now, Trace Thompson hit 3 home runs in that spectacular game he had. And Dave Roberts is like, oh, if you hit 3 home runs, then you're in the lineup the next day. Well, was that the same thing? Oh, sorry, Max. You only hit 2.
Yep.
You don't get to be in the lineup. But they knew on Monday, oh, he's probably not going to be on the lineup on Tuesday. And it's like, why not? Why wouldn't you put your best hitter in San Francisco in the lineup? I mean, that's like a no-brainer.
And I think it makes it look even worse when you go to the last game of the series where Max comes back. And what did he do?
He hit 2 home runs, a 3-run shot and a solo shot, and Dodgers win 10-5. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Like bookend games for Max. And yeah, so I don't know whose decision, oh, he needs a day off. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. He was transformed.
Give him a day off somewhere else.
Yeah, he was transformed in San Francisco.
And maybe a week or two ago, when he was hitting a big goose egg and couldn't do anything, maybe that's when he needed a day off.
Yeah, but he didn't get a day off then. He was batting cleanup. Like,
right.
Come on. Now, in this last game, Freddie Freeman had a 15-pitch at bat where the bases were loaded and he came out on top. We got a walking in Trace Thompson to put the Dodgers up 4-3 at that point. And that really seemed to just, turn the tide for the Dodgers. And then, of course, Max Muncy he finished up the 3 games with 4 home runs, 11 RBIs. He has 25 home runs, 55 RBIs in 75 games against the Giants.
Yeah,
he should always be in the lineup.
Yeah, whenever he's playing there. But that's the stupid thing about this analysis of these things is that, well, based on these things, it's time to give him a day off. Yeah. No, you play the hot hand. He already showed you. You already know what he's done. Figure out how to give him a day off somewhere else. But not when he's in a place that he always excels.
Yeah, I mean,
and what if he didn't do well? Oh well.
Yeah.
He got a goose egg from him anyway because you didn't play him. At least give him a shot. He could have been out of there with 7 home runs and 20 RBIs. Who knows?
Yeah.
Now, I will say that other than the first game, where they hit 500 with runners in scoring position. They went 4 for 8. The rest of the games, the other 2 games, may not have gone their way, especially game 2 may not have gone their way because they were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, they just couldn't do anything in that game.
And then while Dustin May didn't look bad, he walked 4 batters, and those came back to haunt him. The bullpen was pretty good in that one, but Evan Phillips was the exception. He wasn't good at all.
No, he did come back the next night and was on point. But yeah, I think that's the thing with the Dodgers this season. It's early in the season, but we're used to seeing, a decent bullpen, where you're not like, groaning when these guys come out. And they are hit and miss, and which we saw especially in that last game against the Cubs, which talk about, but, and I guess another game against the Cubs, but yeah.
And then don't forget that other game.
That's other game.
Also against the Cubs. But
they're just guys that you count on to be pretty solid. Solid, pretty even keel. Now, I will say one thing I think is with Evan Phillips, I don't think he really knows. We don't have a closer. We don't have somebody that's their role. Like Kenley Jansen was the closer. Craig Kimbrell last year, he was the closer. We don't have that. And I wonder, is that, with these guys, they don't know when they're coming in, and they really should be ready anytime, right? But would it be better if they had more defined roles? Like with Evan Phillips would say he's our closer and he knows that's what that's his job. I'm not saying he's going to have great games every time when he comes in, but if you have those defined roles, would that make a difference?
We're going to talk about where this came from, what I'm going to tell you now in a little bit, because it happened during the Cubs series, but Dave did use the term high leverage guys.
Yes.
And Evan Phillips is one of those guys that you would consider from what he's done. Last year, we really thought of him as a high leverage guy. And I get the idea that it's like, well, what am I? You're a relief pitcher. You're one of my high leverage guys. I'm going to bring you in when I need somebody the most, when I need the outs.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you always need the outs, but there's times where it's not as the pressure's not as big to get it. We want the outs, but we're winning by, 8 runs. I need you to go out there and pitch solid, but it's not a pressure situation. Mm-hmm. And the pressure situations, and we've talked about this before in the past seasons, is that if you come in the 7th inning and the other team is threatening to take the lead or to tie things up, well, that changes the whole face of the game. Are you going to put yourself in a position as the game goes to cruise to a victory and be able to have everybody get some other guys a couple of innings? Or do you need to bring, and so at that point you bring in your high leverage guy, the guy who's got that closer mentality? Because right now, I'm with you. Maybe they don't understand how that works, and they feel like we need that traditional label. I'm the closer.
Yeah, I just kind of.
You're my high leverage guy.
Right. Yeah. Maybe he needs to, bring that more to the forefront for them. Have a bullpen meeting. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there's something missing, not within the bullpen, because I think the guys that are there, we know that they can pitch well, but I just feel like there's just something out of whack. And
it's called Dave Roberts doesn't know how to manage his bullpen. And all he's got to do is take a couple of those guys aside. Brusdar Graterol, if he's going to be one of those guys because he's the bazooka, then take him aside and give him that confidence that, I'm not going to save you till the 9th if I need you in the 7th. Closing out a game, maybe I will. Maybe there's a time where it's not going to be as super pressure packed, and I'll go ahead and just use you in that point. But I want you when I need somebody I can absolutely count on.
Yeah.
In the toughest of situations.
Yeah. And I think that's what it could take. It could just take him, calling him in his office, taking him aside and just saying, hey, I see you And, when these kind of situations come up, it could just be a little bit of that confidence boost that they need.
Him and Mark Pryor could talk to him about that. I know Mark Pryor probably spends a lot more time with the starters, but he could talk to them as well. And then both of them could say, look, you have this kind of stuff. You have the electricity, whatever it takes, pump the sunshine in, tell them they're the greatest, get out there and pitch.
I mean, because everybody wants to, hear that they're, needed in this role or that role. And I don't know. I just feel, it just kind of hit me when I was watching the game, especially the other night, that's what, they just need, just a little bit of old fashioned, motivation and just some confidence building. But
sounds about right.
I mean, I think this series for the Dodgers in San Francisco was a much needed series after Arizona. That was, disastrous. Yeah, I mean, it always seems that the sky is falling for Dodger fans, but it was also good to see Max Muncy, back in form, because he's one, between him and Chris Taylor. It's like, what's going on here? These were the guys that were sitting on the couch or, not doing anything, didn't know if they were going to play.
Bagging groceries or whatever.
Right. And they were the stories, and now we've come to expect them to do these things, and they're not doing it. So seeing Max Muncy hit, 4 home runs was awesome. And the Dodgers got the series win. So that was another.
They do take that 2-1. Kershaw pitching that final game, and one step closer to doing something only 2 other Dodgers have ever done. And that's 200 wins as a Dodger. So that's a couple games away. I think that was 198 at that point, as far as wins go for him, and moving up, trying to move up the list for the all-time list for strikeouts as well. So the Dodgers hop on the bullet train that has yet to be built between San Francisco and Los Angeles, or even Los Angeles and Las Vegas. They're always talking about it. It is the mythical bullet train.
Yeah.
And when it comes to mythical things, we got a doozy coming up and around baseball. So we'll talk about that then. But in the meantime, let's finish up the week with the Dodgers. Dodgers do go 500 on the week. They win the series versus the Giants, and then head right back home to play the Cubs, and the triumphant return of former Dodger MVP Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, returning back to Dodger Stadium. Had it was like a family reunion. He was at the Dodgers batting practice. Of course, he was out for the Cubs batting practice. Everybody happy to see him. He was a big part of the Dodgers, and it's kind of weird not to see him in center field and not, see him in the dugout. But nice return for Cody. Really nice tribute video that Dave Ross said was probably one of the best that he'd ever seen.
Well, we're in Hollywood. You better have good video promotions. The retrospective.
That's right.
Cody had a not bad series. Went 3 for 11, a home run, a double, and an RBI. And I noticed when I was looking through everything, he's hitting .310 on the season for the Cubs. Maybe the change of scenery, or hey, guess what, Dodgers?
Look at me. Look what I can do. I think it's a change of scenery, maybe a little bit of a wake-up call for him too. He seemed, he looked, I don't know, I'd say a little more mature, to me. Didn't always have that duh look on his face that he often did. So many memes are with him, but he had a good series, and it's good for him because he was floundering in LA. So if he can do well in Chicago, good on him. Mm-hmm. Although it's funny, his family was going to be, I think like his parents, maybe, some siblings were going to be at the game on Friday. And with the excitement of everything, he forgot to leave them tickets. So, but luckily, his dad being his dad, a former player, that wasn't a problem to get tickets.
Was able to work that out, which is cool. So the family got to be there. He got to be there because apparently he's was waiting for his second child to be born and might have been in Arizona instead of there. So he could have missed out on it. But instead, he makes it through all 3 games. A series that would see Noah Syndergaard on the hill, Michael Grove, as well as Julio. All throwing some strikes and balls and getting beat around or whatever happened.
Well, Syndergaard, is his 3rd outing. It was a lot better than his 2nd. He pitched 6 innings. He had 9 strikeouts. But the problem was the Cubs had 5 home runs, and it really was the Yan Gomes show. I mean,
right. 2 of those home runs were his.
Yeah. I mean, he just had a ridiculous night at the plate.
We could talk a little bit about Andre Jackson.
Let's talk a little bit about him. So he comes in. Okay.
First, let's just give a couple little silver lining props here because we know this was a loss. They never had anybody in scoring position, so they couldn't hit. They had 2 home runs, Max and CT3. But they never had anybody else be on first base.
Yeah. Yeah. There was no offense. It was, there was no fire. The bats were ice cold.
So anyway, that brings up, so that was an 8-2 loss, but that 8-2 loss came down to Andre Jackson. And honestly, there's a lot going on with what happened there. We were kind of talking about, not wasting pitchers. There's that kind of happened here. Could he have been almost equivalated out to a position player coming into pitch? Kind of, except that when he came into pitch, the score was not out of hand.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, there was still, they always say the door was open, and he came out and slammed it.
His team.
On his team, he locked it. It was bad.
And it was like one of those things where you're watching a movie or like somebody or they especially if they're in New York City, they always play this up. They lock the door and they've got like 12 deadbolts and 4 or 5 of the chains and then they put a piece of furniture up against it. He did all of that and then parked the car.
Yes. Oh, Andre, he, from what we've heard, the home runs that he gave, so came in and just, it was batting practice for the Cubs. And then he came out again for another inning, which
Ross called over to the Dodger dugout and said, hey, we need another, like in spring training, we need a little more of that to help us out.
Exactly.
For some training purposes.
Yeah, I mean, the Cubs hit 4 home runs off of him, and they scored. Yeah, they ended up winning 8-2, but 5 runs in the bottom of the 2 innings. And I was like, why would you keep him in? And then we found out that he was tipping pitches.
Right. And that really. And the thing is that they caught that and Dave's like, well, good on them that they saw what was going on. And at first he didn't know whether he was or not. And Dave has been good at throwing players under the bus this year. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's why he should be fired.
Yeah.
The winningest manager in Dodger history. Yeah, it may just be time. Mike Scioscia, winningest Angel manager ever. And it was just time.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, leaving him in just was a head scratcher for me. And, especially you had to know that if the Cubs were picking up on that, the Dodgers could see it too. So, it's like, okay, well, all right, this game is gone. So why bother? We'll just chalk it up, move on.
Sometimes, it's like, are you just purposely losing this game? And
that's what it felt like.
That's not the case. It's just things didn't go well. It just felt like, oh, okay, they've given up. But this one felt like they did. He couldn't get anybody out, it seemed. He finally made his way through. He only pitched 2 innings, but he faced 13 batters in 2 innings, threw 55 pitches, gave up 4 home runs. And, how many total hits? 6 total hits.
Yeah, 6 hits.
5 runs, all earned.
Yeah, 1 walk, had 1 strikeout, which might have been a gift from the umpire.
Yeah, probably somebody gave him something, felt bad for him, and just swung at it.
Yeah, it was bad, and he was quickly optioned. So,
which is
like the next day.
Isn't real fair, because they left him out there instead of saving him.
Yeah, he was just floundering out there, and you could see it. And I think he'd only given up in the last 27 innings or, 20 plus innings that he's pitched. He's only given up 1 home run. He's a decent pitcher, but that night, for whatever reason, he could not put it together, and it was bad. It's not a good look, and not a good look for Dave Roberts.
We talked a little bit about game 3 and what happened at the end that caused the Dodgers loss. Let's go ahead and look at game number 2, the one game that they won. Unless you got another thing you want to bring up.
I just have one thing, because we talked about Cody Bellinger. Talk about rules. He comes up to bat, and I think he was batting cleanup. He comes up to bat, and the Dodger fans giving him ovation, clapping for him. He gets pitch clock violation and automatically is 0-1, down with the strike, because the umpire, it's like, come on. You knew this was his first time back to the Ravine. They did this nice, I guess he was like, listen, they played you a video. Now get in the batter's box. We don't care. But I did like Joe Davis was like, really, come on, read the room.
Right. And Dave Roberts said, come on, just, what's going on? And then the thing that they came up with, did you hear what the excuse was?
I didn't, no.
It was, there are rules to accommodate these things, but it's something that normally comes up at the beginning of the game, or before the game. So the Dodgers would say, we're going to do this. And then say, hey, there's a chance this. Well, he's not a Dodger player. But they should have known that he was there a long time. Won a World Series with the Dodgers and an MVP. Mm-hmm. Came up as a kid. It's like, welcoming a family member back home.
Yeah, exactly.
But on one side, I kind of like that idea. It's like, I don't care. We're here to play ball again. They did their little thing before. You can do it after. You can do it again tomorrow. I don't care. Now it's time to play ball.
And I get that, but Andrew McCutchen is back playing with Pittsburgh. He comes up to bat, and he had, what seemed like a 3-minute ovation. And he didn't get a pitch clock violation. Obviously.
They must have gone and said to the league, not even to the umpires, but to the league, and then it gets approved there.
It must, in triplicate.
And that's what they said. Right. And a Manfred stamp on it.
Has to be notarized.
So they must have reset, let them know beforehand that was going to happen. And that didn't, that wasn't the place or the point with Cody.
Right.
And who knew necessarily that's how that was going to play out. But
right.
So
it's one of those
they
things.
Get there, and then, game 3, Dodgers lose it 3-2. The ump made all those bad calls.
Julio gives up 2 home runs.
6 strikeouts, gave up 3 runs total on 8 hits. The bullpen did look good, and they shut the Cubs down the rest of the way in that loss. But in game 2, it looked like we were up for another loss. They were 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. So they weren't getting anybody home. They left quite a few on base. I don't remember how many, but quite a few on base. And it all came down to really what started it and made this possible for a win were the rookies.
Yeah, that's it. It was Vargas and Outman.
Outman singled, Vargas doubled, and that set up David Peralta.
Yeah, the veteran who has initiated the new. We talked about it last week, but it's the choo-choo train. They keep on going. So yeah, he hit a single, and that got both Vargas and Outman, or Outman and Vargas both scored, and that was the walk-off. That was the first walk-off for the Dodgers. And it was small ball. It wasn't, a major, it wasn't like this big home run with the crazy new lights at Dodger Stadium that they got going on. It was just a single.
Just regular old lights. Well, it was a walk-off, so they got to use the
yeah. Yeah, they did get
lights
to watch the disco lights. Yeah.
So it ends up with the Dodgers still looking kind of We just don't know when they're great or when they're good, they're great. And when they look bad, they don't look like they're on the verge of breaking through of anything. They look like they're on the verge of falling apart and writing off the season. That's where it leans when you're just looking at way too early predictions for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks continue to be in first place, but the Dodgers, who will finally see who was supposed to be their biggest rival this year in the West, the Padres, they see them coming up in early May. I think they start a series with them in Cinco de Mayo. But even the Padres are playing so bad, and they're supposed to be running away with the division already.
Right. Yeah. It's been an odd, well, I can't say really odd, because the Dodgers, if you go back and look through, like from, say, 2018, they have never really started off super strong.
Last year they did more so.
Yeah, last year I think was the exception. If you look at, say the 5 years now, or 5 seasons with 2018. I mean, I guess 2020 you could kind of, maybe take that one out, but they've never been, off like, the Rays, who, were undefeated for a time. That has never been their MO.
It hasn't. We can all take a collective breath. As far as the baseball season goes, we know it's a long ride. We know some teams are they're already on their way out of it. There's some teams that are still playing along, making things interesting. Probably eventually they're going to fall out of it.
Well, I think it's kind of using the analogy of, the runner, you running a, marathon, you don't want to start out running really fast, because by the end or the middle of the race,
right,
you're done.
Yeah. You'll expend all your energy and you're out of it. All right. So a couple questions before we look at what is coming up for the Dodgers, schedule this coming week. A couple things. I heard a little bit of an interview and I didn't catch it all, but it sounds like Outman has a book club.
Oh, really?
And I just caught some of it, and I was starting to look, trying to find something, but I never came up with it. So I'll have to watch that. And then in answer to a question that we didn't ask necessarily with any, I think we just gee whizzed it. Yeah. But they did ask about the numbers, about going from 77 to 33. And they asked the same question that I said. Was it a double digits thing? To which James Outman said, I didn't really think about it. What I did was I called my family. And finally, when I'm talking to my brother, because they asked him, did 33 have a significance? And he said, no. It was just one that was available to him. Mm-hmm. He said, I wore 77 up with the Dodgers. His brother said, exactly, wore 77 up with the Dodgers. You wore 55 in Oklahoma City. So stay with the double digits like that, the like digits, and go to 33.
Yeah, so stay the odd numbers. Yeah.
And the odd numbers, very, very simple. So he's gone in 20s. He went 55 to 77, back to 33.
Yeah.
And then I got to find out more about this book club.
I do too. I'm wondering, what kind of books are they reading? Is he, is it Jane Eyre?
The first one,
Jane Austen.
The first one sounded like it was some sort of a motivational type book. They just came up that it was a life book, and then he was like, "Yeah, but that's baseball. That's baseball." I didn't catch all of it, but definitely something worth following up and checking on.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of other things. Tony Gonsolin sounds like he's ramping up to be back in the rotation here pretty soon. So hopefully when he comes back, that'll really help, the overall with the rotation and just make him that much stronger, and he can pick up where he left off in the first half of last season. Not so much the second half.
Yeah, we don't want to see that after the All-Star game on. That wouldn't be good.
All right, I've got a question for you before we wrap up this segment. Will Smith, who we didn't mention necessarily, but didn't play versus the Cubs under concussion protocol. I'm sure you'll bring that up more in around baseball. But two questions, because I started looking around. Is he the best catcher in baseball right now?
I think.
Yachty's gone.
Yachty's gone, so you don't have that. I think. I would say he's pretty darn close. I mean, he's got it all. I mean, he does it, behind the plate and at the plate. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking.
He's got that Mike Trout vibe of that he's all business. I come to play the game. I'm not a flashy guy. I'm not any of that. I just, as I keep going back through, obviously one of the big names we see with catchers these days is Adley Rutschman, but he's younger. Not that he may not become that, but right now I don't really see anybody as solid overall. It feels. I may be wrong, and I don't see all of the catchers. And, if I went through, maybe I could see somebody numbers wise, defensively or whatever. But I just feel like he may very well have become in that short amount of time, because he's only been up since 2019.
Which is crazy that it seems like he's always been around. And maybe it's because he's got kind of an old, because it is an old soul, but, because he is very businesslike, and you don't see a lot of emotion from him. In fact, I think, wasn't it during the World Baseball Classic? Was it Randy Arozarena came up to the plate, and I think was like, going to fist bump him or something. And he was just like, put his mask on and, got back behind the plate. He didn't even, it's like,
I ain't got time to be playing games here.
That's right. You're playing on the other team.
That's right. So, and then one more question about him that I've been thinking, based on the relatively small sample size of Will Smith's career, is he a Hall of Famer? In the end, do you think he will make it there, or do you think he's going to fall short?
That's a good question. I can't see him right now. And, and obviously he has been in the league that long, being in the Hall of Fame. And I don't know. I don't know that he will be. I don't know that he will be. Unless, he's something, I guess if he's just consistent and he.
Right, but he's not going to be, he's not just like a Hall of Good.
Yeah.
Hall of Great.
Yeah.
Kind of great.
Yeah. It's possible. He could totally be a Hall of Famer, but I don't see it. I just don't see it yet. And
it takes a little bit of time. I know it's early, but it was just like, is he going to have that he builds up, or is it just going to be, yes, he was consistent, but he was never that great. He was just very good. The Hall of Very Good.
Right.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
He could be one of the Dodger greats, but not a Hall of Fame Cooperstown.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thinking about New York, the Mets are coming to town. That means former Dodger Max Scherzer can bring his dead arm in and hopefully get roughed up by his former team. And then the Dodgers will conclude their season series with the same Cubs. And instead of only losing 3 to them potentially, and they only lost 2, they could actually double that and lose 4 because it's a 4-game set when they're at Wrigley coming up over this next week. And this weekend, they'll be in there playing the 4. And then, like I mentioned, they're going to play the who cares about this series as we sit here now. San Diego Padres over Cinco de Mayo.
All right. So who do you have for player of the week?
I don't know. Who do you got?
I went with Max. I mean, I couldn't not pick Max Muncy after his performance in San Francisco. And he had, some hits, had home run in the series and, against the Cubs and he looked that funky Muncy was coming back. So I went with Max.
I too went with Max. I did know when I passed it on to you. It was I just didn't want to go first.
Oh, okay.
7 for 20 on the week with a .350 batting average to 5 home runs, 12 RBIs total, couple of walks. So yeah, Max was my guy, but I did have an honorable mention, and I gave that to David Peralta because of the walk-off. Without, and I really could have given it to him and to the 2 rookies, Outman and Vargas, just because without those 3 and playing the small ball. So I gave it to Peralta for the walk-off hit, timely hitting. He did go 2 for 7 with a .286 batting average and those 2 RBIs over the week. I kind of feel like we're on the verge of renaming this segment the Silver Lining segment again. Now,
it's making a comeback.
Yeah. Now we did talk about the Dodgers, how it feels like them, the way they're playing in that. With the Angels versus the series with Toronto, even though they didn't have a winning series, it felt more like they could hang with Toronto and stay in the game. When the Nationals came to town, it didn't feel like that. And the Nationals are one of the worst teams in baseball. So they play the Nationals at home to finish up their first homestand there. And then they head off to Fenway to do a set of 4, including the Patriot Day, Boston Marathon Day game on a Monday game for that, the 17th. And we'll talk about all 4 of those. And we'll talk about between these 2 series, some former Dodgers, just to kind of pull them out, because with Boston, there were 4 former Dodgers that popped up in that series, all there. So, here's one thing that should just tell you, period. The Nationals no-hit Mike Trout throughout the series. He didn't get a single hit, didn't contribute in any way. Really, I mean, other than the basics defensively. He walked a couple times probably, but he didn't have a series worth remembering. 1 for 7 in runners in scoring position in the first game, 7 left on base. They did score 4 runs to the 6 that the Nationals scored, but the Nationals had 14 hits, and it was another bad outing for Jose Suarez. And I had mentioned last week that there was talk that Tucker Davidson might come out of the bullpen, and it was in that game he did.
Oh.
So he was supposed to be 6th starter, and instead they couldn't use the bullpen because the bullpen's just so below average that they end up using Tucker. He didn't have a great, either he gave up 2 runs, Suarez gave up 4 in that 6-4 loss. But we did see Hunter Renfroe with a home run. That was good. But otherwise there just wasn't a lot happening there. Talking about former Dodgers, Keeper Ruiz, starting catcher for the Nationals. He had a pretty good series, went 3 for 11 with a double, 1 strikeout, 2 walks. And the other name that we kept hearing, and I didn't bother to get all his numbers in, but somebody that we should probably watch for, see how he develops with the Nationals, Heimer Candelario, who every time I turned around, I was hearing his name, scoring runs, advancing. He was one of the big deals for them. So in this, the Angels end up actually winning 2 of the 3, but it didn't really feel like that. It felt like every game was a loss. Next game, they won 2-0. One of 4 with runners in scoring position, so they didn't really put people there. They left 7 on base. Logan O'Hoppe had a home run. Anthony Rendon sacrificed fly and a couple of walks to help do that. It was Shohei who really kept things contained. 7 innings pitched, only gave up 1 hit, no runs, struck out 6. He did walk 5, so it wasn't a complete great outing for him, but he did go 7 scoreless innings, and that took him into Nolan Ryan range as far as records and things there. Carlos Estevez grabbed his first save in that one, and Shohei after that game, ERA of 0.047, and another former Dodger, Josiah Gray, was there to throw 5 2/3 versus the Angels, and lose that one. And so Game 3 really became a celebration of a guy who never gets to play, and that's because Mike Trout sat out, and it became the Brett Phillips show in the outfield, at least. 2 stolen bases on the day and an RBI. And, they were all excited for him because they interviewed him after the game. It was a day game, getaway game. And so they talked to him before the Angels were going to leave that Wednesday afternoon to head to Boston. Griffin Canning ended up getting that start that Tucker was supposed to have. Not a bad outing, coming back off of energy and everything, off of surgery, injury. I guess it's not energy, but coming back off of.
Well, he had energy, which he hadn't had in 22 months because he hadn't been on a mound. So
right. So he was happy to be there. But pitched 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, only 2 runs, struck out 4, but didn't walk any. And Hunter Renfroe had another good day, contributed there, 2 for 3. Brandon Drury, also 2 for 4, a couple of the new guys. So overall, a forgettable series.
Yeah, I mean forgettable, but there were silver linings in those games with obviously Shohei's outing, and I mean according to Sport Radar, he is the 14th major league pitcher since 1901 to pitch at least 19 innings through his first 3 starts, allow 1 earned run or fewer, and strike out at least 6 in each outing. So putting his name in more of those record books, more of those stats, since 1833. But this one, 1901. So, and then Griffin Canning, just that he made his return, and that's a big deal because he had, back surgery, and that's hard to come back from. It can be.
Yeah, for sure. So before we move on to Boston, something happened that changed the portrait of the Angels roster. And it was the optioning and then outrighting of David Fletcher to Salt Lake City. Now, they optioned him because they could. He still had options available. A lot of times guys have been in as long. He's been in the majors for 5 years now. They don't ever go back down. But in this case, he had options, so they optioned him, and then they outrighting. What does that mean? Outrighting means he's no longer on the 40-man roster. So he's a AAA player now. He's not a major league player. They're paying him like he's a major league player because he had a guaranteed contract, had just signed a couple seasons ago for like a $26 million 5-year contract. So they got to pay that out, whatever. And he very well, because he'd been playing so poorly, and there was no place for him to play. He didn't earn a full-time spot. He's had issues since last season coming off of an injury. So going to Salt Lake City, where he's supposed to start this last week playing, he'll get the reps there and maybe play his way back onto the roster and the Angels. Otherwise, I think eventually the Angels will either release him, trade him. Hopefully for his sake, he can put things together and go play for somebody else and contribute there. So he can continue on. A great guy, one of my favorite, Angels, and it's sad to see him go, but I understood why. In that, though, they called up the first player to be called up from the 2022 draft of any player in the 2022 draft, Zach Neto, to take over at shortstop. And he was called up from Rocket City, the Trash Pandas, the AA team, and to play in Boston for his first set. He showed up just a couple of hours before game time on Friday, pulled out halfway through the game the night before so that he could get everything together and get to Boston to join the Angels. Didn't really work out. His debut, he was 0-for, struck out a couple of times, and the Angels do not have a great series against Boston. It was, like I said, a 4-game series. They only win 1 of the 3, and we'll talk about that one coming up in just a little bit. A couple of good deals there. We did see Renfroe 1 for 5, a couple RBIs, and then Anthony Rendon 3 for 4 that day, only 1 RBI, but Rendon has, and I got to give him some credit here, he's hitting over 300 now. Oh. And I didn't want it to be that I didn't give him any credit coming. He's been a great player in his career. We need him to be a great player now. It doesn't feel like he wants to be that. But I got to give some credit where credit is due. Patrick Sandoval.
Let me burst that bubble because he also made 2 throwing errors in that game.
Right. And people were trying to blame it on the first baseman. Jake Lamb was on first base. And if we'd have had Jared Walsh there or a real first baseman, it's like Jake Lamb's as much of a first baseman as anybody else that's going to play there. And you know what? He made bad throws.
Yeah. I mean, he made up for it with the bad throws. He made up for it at the plate. We go with that. Right.
Yeah. But those were 2 things and he did it. But see, this is the thing. 2 bad throwing errors that cost runs.
That's true. Yeah.
And in a little bit, we're going to talk about 2 other stupid errors that were worse than his, but still cost the Angels. And it makes me wonder what's going on with the fundamentals. Mm-hmm. I get that game strategy is not Phil Nevin's thing. He's not the manager of that. He's an implementer down there, just like a lot of managers, but he's not working with these guys and helping them out because they're making stupid mistakes. And it wasn't like Anthony Rendon's throws were rushed. He just threw them off. Maybe that's still rustiness, but he's been going through. He didn't miss any time this season. We didn't start late. He came into spring training ready, I would assume. So we can make all kinds of excuses, but yeah, thanks for bursting my bubble, because I kind of
we're going to gloss over that. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Rendon is, he won a World Series with the Nationals. And so, when he signed with the Angels, it was like, yeah, you get Rendon. He's a good third baseman, and he just hasn't lived up to that potential. I mean,
he was like in the top 5 of MVP voting that year.
Yeah.
He'd been within the top 10 in like 3 different seasons.
Right.
He's been nowhere near that. You wouldn't even believe that he knew how to hardly play baseball. I mean, it's been that bad. And, everybody's trying to give him a little something like, well, when he came to the Angels, he barely had 1 kid, and he was, there, he was just coming off of a World Series, blah, 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 blah. Now he's got like 3 or 4 kids. He's overcoming like, 2 or 3 injuries a year, 2 of which we don't know about until he has to go have surgery on them.
Right.
And then they go, oh, by the way, we were going to wait till the right time to tell you. just want to share. It's not his finger. He lost a leg. I mean, it's that bad.
Yeah, it is. It is that bad. And he should be embarrassed,
He should be. Anyway, yeah, so it was really the names that kept popping up for the Red Sox throughout this. And as I was about to say before we really got into talking about the reality of Rendon, is that Patrick Sandoval didn't really have a great outing. A couple of wild pitches didn't help. And then Aaron Loop was the biggest cause that they lost this game. But from the Red Sox, Rafael Devers with a home run. But every game, it seemed like Kike, JT, and Alex Verdugo, all former Dodgers, all an RBI. Or in the first game, Kike had 2 RBIs. But every game, they seemed to contribute something.
And in this game, Kenley Jansen got the save.
Exactly. And Kinley will get another one during the series as well. And in fact, during the series, Justin Turner hits his first home run as a Red Sox over the big green monster.
This is off. I mean, kind of off topic a little bit. I mean, we're still talking about Red Sox. But I just was thinking, how can JT play for Alex Cora as the manager, knowing what we know about him and his craftiness?
Yes. Maybe he wants to catch him telling a story about it so that he can he's undercover.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I
think that's what we need to go
there,
with.
And Kike suffered because of that. Kinley suffered that.
Yeah.
I think Alex Verdugo's the only one that didn't.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm like, how could he play? Because he still just does not look right in that red. And
no.
Anyway, let's get back to the Angels.
So the next game out is one that we really need to talk about as well. Looked a little better. Left 8 on base, but 5 for 11 runners in scoring position. So that's workable. Not quite 500, but a lot better than 1 for 14, like they were in the first game. But this is one where they end up losing it because of other dumb mistakes. And at the beginning, Tyler Anderson, not good.
Not a good outing at all. No.
And then Ryan Tepera ends up going on the injured list off of this game. And the big thing that gets me is there have been a couple of times in different series here where the Dodgers went out to a lead, and they did it in this one. Gio Urshela, 5 RBIs that night.
Yeah, he had a grand slam.
And that's what I'm saying. They started off 4-0. That's what we got to talk about this.
Yeah, and that has kind of become a common theme, I think, for the Angels throughout various series where they're on top. And in fact, I think, no, it wasn't this game. It was the Patriots Day game. And then it's like, hey, look at them. It's like 5-1 or something. We'll get to it. But it's like,
no, they start off like that, and they get a lot of they get a runs, and they've done it before where they've scored in the first inning, and then they end up losing. Whether it be because the bats aren't working, and it's always a combination. The bullpen falls apart more often than the starters don't do well.
Right. And then the offense just goes cold, I think, is the other issue. And,
like we were talking about in the other series, Mike Trout, no hits. Mike Trout does get on the board here versus the Red Sox, but overall doesn't have a lot of impact on this or the other series.
Now, he did hit his 300th career double, so that is something to celebrate. He did become the 4th in MLB history to reach 300 doubles, 300 homers, and 200 stolen bases by the age of 31. And he joins Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, and your favorite, A-Rod.
Ooh, A-Fraud. First time this season.
Yeah.
And that was in this game we're talking about because they did score 7 runs and they did have a chance. But did Matt Thaiss happen?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to say it. He happened. He had 2 catcher interference calls. 2. He's a catcher.
Okay, so 1 maybe.
Right. 2?
The second one, but you're seeing it, and it's not like it was a little bit kind of like it may not have been. His gloves there, the whole webbing goes forward because he stuck it out in front of the bat. So he gets that. So Ryan Tepera, I think, faked an injury because he just didn't want to be part of that mess anymore. He only goes.
I got to get out of here.
Of an inning. Yeah, this is. Ow! I need to be on the wheel. It's been a lifelong career goal to be on the wheel. I need the SRBB folks to share. I need Jana to mention my name.
It's like this is going back, but romper room,
Right.
I never got my name. They never mentioned my name. I waited every week for my name for her to say, and I see Jana never saw me. Never.
I think one time I got a Jeff.
Well,
and I think it's just because Jeff is more common than Jana, especially then.
Right. And Planet Head, he was mentioned every week. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every week.
But yeah.
Because everywhere you go has like little licenses to say Planet Head on them.
That's
Every
right.
amusement park, all the places,
Yeah. It's like
Jeff
Bort
with your name
from The Simpsons.
Bort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bort.
Yeah, Matt Thaiss. I mean, come on. You had Shohei had 2 singles. His second single, the Angels go ahead 7-6. It's looking good. It's like, all right, the Angels can pull this out. And then Matt Thaiss happened.
Right. And so here we go. Ramil Tapia and Reese McGuire both benefited from that. They end up scoring these extra runs. It just, and like you said, Trout 3 for 4 with 2 doubles in that game, one of them being his 300. Shohei 2 for 4. Gio 2 for 5 with the grand slam, 5 RBIs. It really should not. When you start the game out 4-0, and I think they even talked about it during the broadcast, you figure you're going to win that game.
You should win that game.
Right. But they didn't. So the rest of the series, really, the next day, it was a lower scoring game. 2 for 1. They were 1 for 4 runners in scoring position. 2 left on base. Probably the most amazing thing about that game, Reed Detmers pitched pretty well. Through just over 6, only gave up 2 runs, struck out 7. And Andrew Wantz, who had been called back up, shut him down, gave up no runs. But even for Boston, Aaron Whitlock, I think was their pitcher's name.
Yeah.
Looked really good. He threw 7 innings, only gave up 1 run. And that's when JT hit his home run for the Red Sox. But not much to really talk about on that one. The biggest thing to talk about was that it was 1 hour and 57 minute game.
Yeah. That's crazy. I
had just barely sat down. It was over.
It's done. Like I was going to turn it on and it was over. Didn't
Right?
get to watch it. Had to watch the highlights.
It was like, are the Angels on today? Well, they were.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, but
that's
it's only didn't the game start at 11? It's only like 11:30. I don't.
Yeah.
I thought that game would go till at least 4. Not anymore. Not anymore.
No.
And so that leads us to Patriots Day, which is an important day there in Massachusetts, but especially in Boston because that's when the Boston Marathon is. And we do know because of what happened, was it 2013 when the
so 10 years ago.
And then they wear their City Connects, which a lot of times you're wondering, why are they wearing yellow and blue? But that's got to do with the Boston Marathon coloring. And if you notice on the sleeve, they have like the bib number, the runner's numbers, whatever. I don't know what you call them, but
bib numbers.
So they're on the sleeve for that. And so that's what that's all about. So it's an important day. Plus, if you're in Massachusetts, you get the day off.
Yeah. State holiday.
We don't have any state holidays here in California.
We don't have any either.
So anyway, so they're doing that. Well, unfortunately, it was raining. And they pushed back the start. Because here, it was supposed to start at like 8:10 in the morning. And I don't remember exactly when it started, but it was later. I don't know why they couldn't start on time. Weather was fine here.
Right. Yeah. It was nice here too. I think it was... Maybe it started for 8. So it was maybe like around noon, maybe 11:30 noon, there by the time.
In Boston.
Yeah.
So that wasn't as big of a delay. And it's not a big deal at that point because everybody just kind of wait. And that the problem is when you get a rain delay, early in the game, that it's going to take some time because then you've just lost your pitchers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it started raining. And like came down hard, like you couldn't even see anything. And they said, we're just going to keep trucking through. And they came out and that's probably the biggest part of the whole series. The grounds crew putting the dirt out and the clay or whatever they use and working on that because as they were working around home plate, at one point, home plate was underwater.
Yeah. I think if you give it players of the game, the ground crew, the grounds crew for that.
They get the players of the game for that one as well.
For Fenway Park. Yeah.
So they go through
crazy.
and then the pouring slows down, kind of stops. I watched part of that. Shohei pitching. It was a big deal. Hey, he's pitching on this day. And of course they keep showing the thing from the last time that the Angels played on Patriots Day there, where Garrett Anderson was the left fielder. So that's been a while.
Yeah.
And he goes over towards a foul ball and somebody threw pizza in his general direction, slice of pizza in his general direction. So they played that a lot. And so they get to play and I had to do something. I come back and plus I had to go to work, but I come back and they're in full blown rain delay and the tarp's on the field. But they kept talking. They're going to push it to get it done because it can be hard to make up. And this is the only time the Angels come through there. So they don't want them to have to be playing in like Kansas City and then, or Seattle and then have to go one day to play Boston because that's the open day, and then come home or go to San Diego, let's say, and make that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So they were pushing it. So they actually get through it. It was easier because they were leaving and going somewhere nearby. So they end up and finally push through the game. Of course, the starting pitchers both out of there. Shohei ends up pitching like 2 innings, 2 full innings in that game.
2, hitless innings.
Yeah, it was too good. Zach Neto, the guy, the rookie that just got called up, gets his first base hit in that one, and a run scored. It was another one of those games where it was 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. The nice thing is, though, is that they started off once again with runs on the board. And out of the first inning, they were up 4-0. And then I think it was like 4-1. And in the end, the Angels walk away with a 5-4 win. It was, even Tucker Davidson seemed to be okay in that. Shohei was 3 Ks in his 2 innings and gave up the 1 run. And as I recall, it was Hunter Renfroe who hit the home run in the first inning, 3-run shot that got things going. They scored another one, and
yeah, he drove in 4 runs in that game.
So that was the one that they won. So they went 2-1. They won the series versus the Nationals, but then 1-3 in the other one. So they don't exactly go 500, but they've been playing right about at 500. And honestly, in their division, it's when I looked around the weekend, it was the Rangers in first place and the Angels in second place because the Asterisks have a losing record right now. And it was just in that, so we had the catcher's interference, some throwing errors. They're just not playing fundamentally sound baseball. And that is something that we can put on Phil Nevin, because he should be out there working with it. The analytics guys they're telling him how to play the game, who to play. He's got to make sure they're ready to play. Him and his coaches.
Yeah, and he makes bad decisions,
He does. How about sending Brandon Drury? They don't steal. And when they did, they sent Brandon Drury. Hey, you know how many stolen bases Brandon Drury has in his career?
4.
Yes, exactly. Do you know how many times he's been caught stealing?
100 times. No.
All right, Rain Man. Not 100.
Just
7.
Yeah, not a good record. He's
Come on. He's not a fast guy. Sending Shohei, Renifo, guys like that, that's one thing. This guy was not the guy. Send him in the second inning, 2 runners on. So he's, I don't remember who was on third base. He's on first. They run him, and it's like, who the heck was even on base? But up to bat was like, Hoppy.
Hoppy was he was
who
a bat.
Leads the team. I think Hoppy had as many or more home runs than all of the Nationals did. And he leads the Angels, or did, and I think he still does, in RBIs. So how is it that you're right? He makes a lot of bad decisions.
Yeah, he's not good.
Anyway, so the Angels hopped on their little charter flight or whatever they have. They hopped on their flight out of
the
Boston,
Amtrak. I don't know.
After the rain delayed and everything. They do take that win, and a little later in the day, but they're only going to New York to take on the Yankees. So not too bad of a flight. And so it was a little easier to handle, and started off this week with the Yankees are back home for the weekend here, and are starting off versus the Royals. So they'll get that, and at home, and hopefully, they can continue to control the Yankees like they've done in the past. No days off in there. I think they're in the midst of 17 straight at this point. And the way they've been playing, it could end up being really ugly for them, having to play that many in a row, especially towards the end. But, we'll watch for the silver linings. Like I said, Rendon up over 300 in 9 games. He it was like 5 for 15, 5 walks, 8 hits, 7 RBIs. So, or I'm sorry, overall over 9 games he had 8 hits, 7 RBIs. Hopefully we'll start seeing some improvement, or this is just a precursor to a mystery injury.
We'll see.
And hopefully the beginnings of them releasing him and just eating the rest of his contract. He's in place until 2026. And with that, how about a player of the week?
So this one, I didn't really think too much about. I went more with, I guess, kind of my gut, my heart. I think a little bit heart. I went with Griffin Canning. I think it's really tough to come back after 22 months of not pitching. And, he pitched 5 innings, had 4 Ks. So, if he can continue getting stronger. But it was really cool, to see him, back on the mound after going through, tough injury. I went with Griffin.
Nice. Yeah, that's not a bad one. I honestly, I didn't think about Griffin. I didn't really think about any of the pitchers, but he would have been a good one. And then, obviously, there's Shohei could have probably been in that as well.
Yeah, always.
But Reed Detmers was another one that might have been able to look at. But instead, just simply because he's really starting to become a full member of the team, he's starting to pick things up, and he says he's happy to be an everyday player and feel like he's part of the family there. I went with Hunter Renfroe. On the week, batted .292, 7 for 24, scored 5 runs, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 5 base on balls. So that's, it was a good week for him. He contributed, really helped get them out there. If they didn't win, it wasn't because he wasn't doing his part. And then a real quick honorable mention, Shohei over the week with a .86. Or that's what he's got, right now, as of the week, in a .86 ERA through 9 innings. So on the week, he had a 1 ERA because he gave up that 1 run over 9 innings, struck out 9. And the opponent's batting average over those 9 innings, .037.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Crazy. The unicorn.
Just topped off the bullpen cart with some premium, running the 91 in there this week. Kind of strange because didn't we say we charged it up on charged the battery on it last week?
It's a hybrid.
It's something, all right. Next week it'll be a diesel. Anyway, we're ready to take a ride in the cart around baseball. And like we normally do, we're going to talk about the MLB Players of the Week. And this week seemed a little odd to me compared to normal.
All right. Well, let's start off with the AL Player of the Week, and that would be Mr. Garrett Cole. 13 Ks, 2 runs, 3 walks, no home runs in 16 innings over 2 games. And then when we switch over to the NL Player of the Week, Zach Gallen. 18 Ks, 5 hits, 1 walk, no runs, and 13 2/3 innings over 2 games. So 2 pitchers taking the honors.
That's what kind of threw me off. Normally, even if there's a pitcher's one of them, the other one's a position player. So
yeah,
well, that's cool. And both those guys obviously deserve it. And Zach Gallen is one of the reasons that the D-backs are atop the West.
Yeah.
Next up, I told you I would not recognize them tying the record. They either beat it or nothing. The Rays did tie the most wins to start a season with 13, tying the Braves and the Brewers. The Braves of 1982, right? I get that right this time because the Brewers were 1987.
Right.
Okay. So they did tie that. Now, it doesn't mean that they're done trying to break records yet. Because as of the weekend, they've homered in every single game. I think that's 16 as of the weekend. 20 is the record set in 2019 by the Mariners when the Mariners hit 20 home runs, or a home run in 20 straight games to open the season. The Rays can bypass them or pass them by over this coming weekend. Number 20, and that would come versus the White Sox. Number 20 would be the Saturday game Sunday. They could break that record. If they do, I'll be impressed. If not, well, who cares? You tied a record. You didn't beat it.
That's right. Whoopie-doo.
Whoopie-doo!
So you talked about the Angels game being 1 hour and 57 minutes. And we're learning that a few Major League Baseball stadiums will be selling alcohol through the 8th inning in order to combat shorter games due to the implementation of the pitch clock. So games are roughly, 30 minutes, or no, they're 30 minutes shorter this season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pitch clock's really working.
Yeah. Could you imagine? 4 teams have announced that alcohol sales will be extended beyond their traditional 7th inning cutoff. The Diamondbacks, the Rangers, the Brewers, and the Twins all have made alcohol available through the 8th inning as games have sped up. So, yeah, I mean, it always comes down to money and alcohol sales, of course. It would be interesting to see, what the numbers are. They always stop selling in the 7th because the thought was, well, fans can sober up. I mean, some fans, not
right.
all. So then there's like, well, maybe they stop selling in the 6th inning and not extend it, and really try to make it a safety issue. But I don't think that that's going to happen.
Well, that's been one of the questions we asked to begin with. What's it going to do to the concessions? Will that be an issue? And I think they're going to want to, because that's one of the biggest money makers.
Oh, yeah.
That and parking. I mean, even the ticket sales anymore. Opening day at Dodger Stadium, to sit in the very last row in a corner at the top was $108 a ticket. Yeah. And that wasn't secondary market. That was what the Dodgers were selling it for. If you got it at regular price.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think, obviously, with the season being pretty young right now, I think we'll see, be something to definitely keep an eye on and look and see if, how sales are going in those departments for concessions, because the concessions are the big ones. And even if, a lot of stadiums have where you can order and they bring it to your seat, wherever you are. I don't know, are people going to use that more, but are there fees attached to that? There's lots of different things going on.
Right. Well, I would think that would be a big deal. You want to make up for the money, just do more of that, because people will sit there in their seats. And even if the games are shorter, you see a lot of people constantly ordering in the sections that they have it, because then they don't have to get up at all.
Right.
And at that point, they could just start selling, bring a little porta potty thing over, like a little, you could have like they do the injury tent that just pops up in the NFL.
Yeah.
They could do that at your seat. It could just pop up real quick. You could do your business and never leave your seat. You could have just a little block so you could see out and watch the game. So what if you're blocking the people around you?
Yeah,
And stinking up the place or whatever. I don't know. Whatever you do.
Oh, that's crazy. I can even imagine they just pop up. Well, I was going to say too, maybe you'll see more. You don't always see a lot of concessionaires in the stands. I mean, that you see them more, I think, now. But maybe the hot dog guy from when he was in Arlington, maybe he makes his way back to the grill. He's still around.
Yeah, I don't know. He's I don't know. I mean, I don't know how old he was, but when we saw him, but yeah, maybe he's at retirement age now. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe he'll come out of retirement.
Yeah, just for
Be
that.
like Tom Brady or one of them. They come out of retirement.
Right. Yeah, he's the ultimate hot dog.
Yes, indeed. And now that they've set it up so that way they can take cards.
Right.
That was always the issue, is that people just don't have cash on them all the time anymore.
No.
So they can take cards. People won't care anymore, and they won't say $6 for a peanut, or whatever. So
yeah, they don't have to get up. So that's the thing.
Right.
I was going to mention too, Joey Votto. He's been on a rehab assignment, and he took himself off of the rehab assignment because that is what Joey Votto does. He said, my swing's not there, and I need to stop this rehab assignment. So he did.
Okay.
I mean, because it's Joey Votto. I mean, I don't know. I have to have a Joey Votto moment.
Yes,
every week.
Joey Votto moment.
I mean, he is going to.
We need somebody to sponsor that.
Yeah. He's going to rejoin the Reds, work out with them, and then he has to, the time has to reset so he can go back and do a 20-day rehab in Louisville. But I mean, I just thought I'd throw that one out there. That's your Joey Votto moment.
Yes, indeed. All right. Before we take a look at the current league leaders and what the standings were looking like on last Sunday, a big news in a couple of ways. Number one, I don't know how I didn't know this. And number two, Chris Bryant finally hit a home run in Coors Field.
What?
His very first home run in Coors Field.
That's crazy. And this is his second season. I know. But I mean, last season he hardly played at all.
So but you would have thought he'd at least have one, because what is the reputation?
Right. He'd have something. I mean, come on.
But no, he did not. So
a slow leak, as Dad would have said.
Exactly. So he finally did that. I just think he went there to play because there's no pressure there.
Oh, I think totally. He has a young family. He likes Colorado. I mean, he said it. I mean, he didn't hide it.
That's true. But you would think he would have played a little better.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
Yep.
All right. So as of last weekend, finishing up the games on Sunday, we know that the Tampa Bay Rays, leading everything in the world, led the AL East and baseball in general with a 14-2 record. Oddly enough, who do you think is number 2 in the AL overall?
In all of the AL? All divisions?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm going to go.
There's actually a 3-way tie.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Yankees. I think they're there.
They're one of the 3 teams tied.
Okay.
For second.
And the Blue Jays.
Correct. So 3 of the top 4 AL teams are AL East teams.
And I'm going to go out on a limb.
No, it's not Oakland.
And say the Orioles.
No. Orioles are 9-7, sitting just barely above.
I've been hearing so much about them.
A game ahead of Boston in the East, but they are 4th in the East, and they're a little farther down. No, Minnesota with a 10-6
Ah.
record, leads the Central Division. And then the AL West is led by Texas. And on the after that Sunday game, Seattle was second, the Angels, Houston, and then Oakland. Only Texas having a winning record. Seattle at 500. That was as of last Sunday. So things have changed, as the week has gone. How about in the NL? Who's the number one team in the NL?
I'm going to go, let's see. The number one team in the NL is,
Stop
I don't know.
typing.
The Diamondbacks.
No.
I knew that
Diamondbacks
wasn't
are
right.
not. The Diamondbacks are in like the top 6. Let's see.
Okay.
Top 5. They are in
yeah.
the top 5, but and honestly, they're tied for the 5th place with Pittsburgh. Believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
As of then, but it would be Atlanta.
Oh, of
Out
course.
at 12-4. Milwaukee is the second team at 11-5, and then the Mets 10-6, and of course the Braves in Milwaukee. And oddly enough, one became the other.
I was going to say that is interesting.
Are right there, 1 and 2. They lead their divisions. Arizona, of course, leads the West, and then the Mets are actually the 3rd team. So the East in both division has the most teams in the top 3, and then the Cubs, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Miami, and the Dodgers. The Miami and the Dodgers start off the 500 teams, and from there, Cincinnati, Colorado's 5-11, Washington's 5-11, Oakland's 3-13, and the Royals taking up the bottom spot in the Central at 4-12. Boston at the bottom of the East is at 500. So, and then just because before we get to the big segment here, just to take a look at some of the leaders. Batting average for MLB, Luis Ariz, who had the first player to ever hit for the cycle in Miami Marlins history. Florida, Miami Marlins history. We look down. A couple players have 29 hits, home runs, tied among a couple players. And so there's people. They're still kind of packed together. Nobody's necessarily standing out with doubles and triples. There's just a few players that are all together. And then as far as the ERA, Luis Castillo has a 0.73 ERA. Strikeouts so far, Chris Sale, per 9 innings, he's got 15.
Wow.
And then that's strikeouts per 9 innings. Spencer Strider, the mustache, has 36 strikeouts already on the season. So just a kind of a look to see. Garrett Cole's leading in a lot of different categories. Yordan Alvarez also leading in a lot of different, and these are NL. Defensive WAR, Francisco Lindor leads at this early point. So we will see as it goes. And of course, the more games we play, the guys will start going, and you'll start seeing people pulling away from everybody else. Unless, of course, guys like Matt Chapman, who's leading a lot of categories, Garrett Cole. What if they end up on the wheel? Oh, in the sky keeps on turning. Don't know what I'll break tomorrow. Oh, my old fleet got me on the wheel of IL. I'm making up these words as I go along.
No
Please
way.
save me, Janice, so that we
All right.
start
Let's
talking
start
about
with
so I
let's
can
start
start
with
singing.
Atlanta catcher Travis d'Arnaud, who is on the 7-day concussion IL. Will Smith, as we mentioned, is also on the 7-day concussion IL. He took some foul tips to his face mask during the series in San Francisco. They had the day off on Thursday before going back, and they made their way home. And he had reported the concussion symptoms. First, they said, that he was ill, that he was sick. But then it came out that he had a concussion. So
He's sick of having a headache.
yeah. Brewers Jesse Winker, he's been listed as day-to-day after suffering from right oblique tightness.
Oh, is it worse on the right side or the left side? Oblique, oblique, oh my
know.
side. Oh, ow.
Oh, yeah. G-Man Choi, he's on the 10-day IL, and he's expected to be there a lot longer. He suffered an Achilles injury.
What was I was seeing the other day? 2 South Korean-born players hit home runs on the same day.
Yeah.
G-Man Choi and his teammate, but I can't remember his name, and I feel bad about that.
I know. We'll have to look that up because same thing. Kyle Farmer. This was tough to watch. He plays for the Twins now. Kyle Farmer played for the Dodgers. Then he was traded to the Reds. Now he plays for the Twins. Was hit in the face and underwent surgery to reset his bottom teeth. Ooh. And stitch up lip laceration. So he is on a liquid diet and on the IL.
Yeah, it seems like it.
That one, it was tough. Tough to watch. I think they were playing the White Sox, and it was, as soon as that ball was thrown, pitcher was, I can't think of off the top of my head now who it was, but just like it was bad. So,
and then just real quick to interrupt, it was Ji-Wan Bae.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking it was like there's a B in there, but I couldn't remember. So hopefully
G-Man and Ji-Wan.
Yeah. So hopefully speedy recovery for Kyle Farmer after a very scary injury. Jock Peterson, Jocelyn is on the IL with right wrist inflammation. Giancarlo Stanton is on the 10-day IL with a grade 2 left hamstring strain. So he underwent an MRI, and it looks like he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. His teammate, Josh Donaldson, was on the IL, and then he made a rehab start, and he's back on the IL with a hamstring injury. He too is undergone an MRI, but he has no timetable on when he will return. Kyle Lewis of the Diamondbacks is on the 10-day IL with an undisclosed illness. Zach Davies is on the 15-day IL with an oblique injury.
Oblique, oh my side. Oh, was it the left or the right? Oh my side.
I don't know. It didn't give me that. It didn't give me that option. Like I can choose. It was his right side. Our favorite relief pitcher, Hanser Alberto, is on the IL with a quadricep injury. Tim Anderson is on the IL with knee soreness, but he'll still be the ghost runner somewhere.
He is he's the designated runner.
Yes. Yeah.
Every team.
Yeah. Germain Marquez of the Rockies is on the 15-day IL with forearm inflammation. Houston's Chase McCormick is listed as day-to-day with vision issues, so that's kind of scary. Ryan Tepera, as you mentioned, he is on the 15-day IL. I can't speak. Ryan Tepera is on the 15-day IL with shoulder inflammation. No timetable for his return. And that's it for the wheel this time around because we have expanded. We are expanding the wheel.
Pardon our dust.
Yes,
The wheel
exactly.
is
It's under
constant
construction.
expansion construction. And then now Tapera did say, Ryan Tapera said it's not that bad. He's just going to shut down throwing, take some days off from throwing until and let it rest.
So
and then
that
he'll
does
start.
sound made up. That he
It
really
does.
was, like, I don't want to have a part of this catch interference. I don't know what's happening.
don't
And he
know
ran off
what's-
the field,
and he
threw his
left.
glove down and ran away.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and thinking of made up things, we got something coming up here in just a second. But first, I don't know if you saw these, but the Padres wore uniforms that were from their Pacific Coast League days.
Yeah.
And they looked pretty sharp. Gotta say.
Yeah. Navy. Navy
And,
and red.
And like a cream, the jerseys were kind of cream colored.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually looked pretty good. And people were like, can't these be our City Connects?
Yeah. Why do we have to have the pink and the mint green?
Why do we have this whole 80s neon pastel vibe?
Yeah, the Miami Vice vibe. Yeah, they wore the Pacific Coast uniforms. They celebrated the 75th anniversary of Johnny Ritchie breaking the professional baseball color barrier on the West Coast, as well as what would have been his 100th birthday. So the uniforms were worn by the 1948 PCL Padres. They're navy blue with the red piping, and then the navy blue. The hat was navy blue with the red S. And I saw those because they had changed their Twitter picture, the profile picture, and I was like, "Ooh, what are these?" And instead of
the S on the hat was just a really basic S.
Yeah.
Like a lot that would have been normal in that time frame.
Mhm.
Nothing much to it. Maybe we can find it and throw it up on our Instagram or something like that, or all of our social media.
Yeah, Richie was called the Jackie Robinson of the West Coast because we just celebrated Jackie Robinson Day. He became the first African-American player in the Pacific Coast League with his hometown Padres. And his debut came just 1 year after Jackie Robinson's after he broke the color barrier. Richie played for the Padres as a catcher in 1948. In 1949, he attended San Diego High School and San Diego State University before joining the Army in World War II. So,
and a veteran at that. So salutes off to him. So while everybody was all excited about those jerseys and wishing they could wear those as the City Connects, another team decided to put out their City Connects, and I think some of the Padres fans went, maybe it's not so bad after all.
Yeah. We've talked about this before. I think it was the Angels where we had kind of an encyclopedia of how, the City Connect came to be. Well, the Rangers saw that and they're like, we can do better.
Here, hold my beer.
Exactly. We're going to do 2 volumes.
And probably an addendum somewhere along the way.
Yeah,
a
footnotes.
PS, whatever you want to call it.
So there's some footnotes in there.
There is a bibliography, and it takes up a few volumes in the Library of Congress at this point. And involves, I think the only thing that makes it good is it involves a brand new, never heard of before mythical character.
Yes, there's a mythical creature. So the uniform is cream colored. It features a Gothic TX for Texas for the state's initials. So it's in the Gothic font, which is influenced by the Gothic lettering of the Dallas Eagles, so keep up with this because this is coming into play for the mythical creature. The Dallas Eagles, a minor league team in the Texas League between 1949 and 1957. It also features a spur, which is a tribute to the Dallas-Fort Worth Spurs, which was a minor league team in the Texas League from 1965 to 1971. The Rangers also wanted to pay tribute to Arlington Mayor Tom Vandergriff, who had hoped to bridge the baseball rivalry between Dallas and Fort Worth. By bringing an MLB team to Arlington, halfway in between the two cities. And his efforts contributed to the Senators, the Washington Senators, moving to Texas in 1972. So the sleeve features a peagle?
Yes, that is what they called it. A panther and an eagle.
Yeah, so it's
combined to make. It's like what is a pug and a beagle became a
right.
puggle?
Puggle, right. This is a peagle. It's a mythical creature that they have made up in the grill. And I think they might be serving it at the concession stand.
Yes, I think that is one of the new ones on there. A Peagle burger.
That's right. So
Peagle
it's the
stick.
Dallas Eagles. And as you mentioned, the Panthers, the Fort Worth Panthers. And the typeface for the red number on the jersey is inspired by the 1920 championship medal of the Panthers, who won the Texas League 6 years in a row. There's also another mark is the outline of Texas and a spur. And then on the inside of the collar, because they put everything on the outside, they're like, we got to put something on the inside. They have the date April 21st, which the team said was included to commemorate the day Texas gained independence in 1836. The first recorded baseball game in Texas in 1968, the first home game of the Texas Rangers in 1972, and the on-field debut of the City Connect uniforms tomorrow. So all of that appears. And so that's on the inside collar. That date also appears on the hat. There's a lot to look at, and it's not pretty.
All right. That is that's episode 1 of what City Connect, the Rangers City Connect means. This is an ongoing series we'll be doing over the next 6 or 7 months. And
it's crazy. I mean,
wow.
I saw them and I was like, what is that? And then I read about it and I just had to share because it's so much happening. And then that they made up a mythical creature, the Peagle.
That's probably the best part about it is that they were making up mythical creatures. But when you look at it, they should have not done the Gothic numerals. I mean, letters, TX, and it doesn't need a spur on everything.
Yeah, there's a spur. There's, so the Peagle is basically it's the panther body with wings. So
it doesn't have like an eagle head, like maybe a combination eagle head.
Not really.
And then the body and the wing. No, okay. I did look at it, but at some point, I felt I was about to go blind.
Yeah, and even in these pictures, the players look confused. Like, well, what are we
let's
wearing?
see how they play when they wear it.
Yeah, we'll see. Does it help them?
Do they
play
fall
better?
apart? The minute that the season falls apart, I think we ditch those. We have Disco Demolition Night with the White Sox back in the 70s. They need to have City Connect Demolition Night. If they need to do that in San Diego as well. In fact, a couple places need to do that because their City Connects are people in Anaheim love him.
Okay, I didn't mention this, but I have to mention this because this is how crazy this is. They're ugly, and so they're like, we have to play it up. The rope braid piping on the pants, so on the side of the pants, is a nod to the logo texture of the Spurs.
Oh. What in the wide world of sports is going on? Don't do simple better. That's just when you got to put that much into it that you can't just look at it and go, oh, it's like the license plate, the Colorado license plate. or something like that, then it just doesn't. Or like the Dodgers, it's easy to see it. You understand what LA's around, and it's all blue.
It's all blue. The best one is they announced this on Twitter, and somebody's like, "This is the best mythically blended creature, the Liger from Napoleon Dynamite."
There you go.
It's in now competition with the Beagle.
And with the Beagle, yes. No, I think the Liger still wins.
I think so too. I mean, it's just I feel like the Angels jersey, their City Connects. It's like, okay, they kind of grown on me.
They definitely make more sense now compared to this.
Yeah, I mean, it had a huge explanation, but this just seems like we know they're ugly, we know they make no sense, but this is why.
This is why they make no sense. I like it.
Yeah.
Who's next? What's the next potential disaster? Do you remember?
I think the next ones are going to be the Reds. So hopefully we'll see. They're going to be debuted in May. So we'll have we will have another episode of our City Connect digest.
All right, Reds, you're on the clock.
That's right.
While we could go on for hours and hours, it's probably better that we don't. We're going to rest up, take in some baseball, and get ready for next week's episode. Once again, want to invite you to, when you're finished with us, go back and listen to our episode that came out this morning on Top Fan Rivalry. You can find them. What is their website? Like topfanrivalry.com or something like that?
Yeah, topfanrivalry.com.
You can go there and find that episode on the I think it's right there, the today's episode, and you'll have that probably picture of us on there, as I recall, and click on that and you can listen to it. Not quite as long as our episodes are, so it's a quick listen, but you can find out some fun stuff and talk and listen to us talk baseball with Bill from TFR. In the meantime, stop by our social media, Sibling Rivalry BB without the A on Twitter,
and at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A on Facebook and Instagram.
SiblingRivalryBB.com is where you'll find our our
our website.
Our website.
Yeah.
Well, you can get to our Facebook through there too, right? Isn't there?
Yeah, you can get to Facebook, Instagram, all of our social media accounts, and listen to episodes.
And hit the Fanatics links to order any of these hideous, beautiful
City Connects.
City Connects. I forgot what they were called for a second there.
I know.
Anyway, all of it's right there on the Fanatics links, and if you find one that you really want to torment us with, if you get one, DM us if you want to send us one, or both of us one, and we will at least wear it once for a picture and post it on our social media. And thank you for it.
Yes.
Even if it's a team we don't like, we'll do it at least once.
At least once.
All right. My hat size is 7 3/8, by the way. I don't know what you do. Do you ever wear hats?
I do wear hats, but most of them, I just do adjustable. It's easier.
Okay. There you go. So snapbacks for Janet. All right. Well,
or
next
a bucket
week,
hat.
Or a bucket hat. That's good for bucket head. Who am I to talk? All right. So next week we will be back ready to attack what's going on in baseball. Take a look and see if hopefully the Dodgers and the Angels start picking things up and for their fans, and try to pick up things along the way for around baseball and keep you up to date who is not playing. Maybe next week we should just go back and recap everybody who's on the wheel. So that'll be the whole episode next week.
That'll be it. Yes, that'll be segments 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4.5.
All right. Remember to hashtag Madden, MADDON ONSRBB hashtag Madden on SRBB. Let's see if we can get Joe Madden to show up and do a little simple better and try not to suck while he hangs out with Jan and I here on the show, if we can get him on the show. Next week, too, I'm going to put this out now because I wanted to talk about it this week. Mauricio Dubon, the only Honduran playing. And I want to talk a little bit about what he's been doing while he's been standing in, overshadowing Jose Altuve, who is out injured. And it's not hard to overshadow him.
No.
And Dubon's not that big of a guy either.
Nope.
All right, till next week. We hope you have a great one. Go see some live baseball, or at least watch some on a big TV with other friends and fans, and tell a stranger to listen to the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. And don't forget to swing away.
Are they going to have like chili, like their spaghetti chili somewhere?
That would
on
be
the
fun.
inside collar.
Just put a big plate of chili spaghetti on the front.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
I think that
Cincinnati.
they win. If they do that, they win.
Yeah.